We are live. We are live. I'm gonna turn this down. We are live. We are live. Okay, so friends, as you join in, I have a different type of setup. I have my back camera so I can have better quality, right? And then also I have my iPad here that's logged in from a different account so that I'm on live right now so I can see messages and stuff like that, right? So as you enter, tell me where you're from. It might be a little delayed with the messages because I'm not gonna be able to see them as quick compared to here, but again, I wanted better quality. So as you enter the room, tell me where you're from, tell me what instrument you play, and what is one thing you're struggling with piano-wise. Also, as you can see at the top of the whole entire, or the topic of the whole entire live is, come on. Okay, that's what it is. I thought it was some drums. But the topic of the live is I'm having a free live masterclass, April 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern, where I'll be giving you 5 reasons why serious classical pianists, serious pianists in general, no matter how much they practice, they all hit a wall, no matter where you're at, right? Polly, KRP, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? You're a jazz pianist from the Bronx. Candace says she's a jazz pianist from the Bronx. Okay, good. But yes, I'm going to be breaking down 5 reasons why pianists plateau or pianists get stuck and how to break through. It's going to be amazing. Also, I'm going to give you a live demonstration of how I use my own piano teaching method called the COPET method, which stands for the Composer-Oriented Piano Expression and Technique Method. Now, that's going to be April 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern. If anybody's interested, DM me the word masterclass and I'll send you all the information so you can register completely free. Now, today's live, in addition to me talking about the masterclass, I'm going to be running through a piece by Franz Liszt called The Benediction to God in Solitude, or The Blessings of God in Solitude. This is a piece that I have been working on off and on throughout the years, and I'm going to be officially learning it for a recital that I'm going to be doing June 30th. So I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you how I break down music. You're getting behind the scenes of in-depth practice. And yeah, so let's jump into it. So first things first, real quick tip. When you have music that is 1, 2, 2, 4, pages. When you have music that is 32 pages long, or sorry, this is 17 pages long. The first thing so many pianists do after they hear a piece, Taylor Made, what's up? How you doing? Taylor Made, what's up? The first thing most pianists do after they hear a piece that they want to learn, they get the music, right? And then the first thing they do is just jump right in. Right? And that is cool, but what you begin to realize is that, at least with the students that I've taught and in my own experience, is that when you try to go from measure 1 all the way to measure 1,000, quote unquote, in the music that you're just learning, it takes the process longer to learn, to memorize, right? There's been times in my early years as a pianist where I would be learning a piece that's 30-something pages long, and I'll play from page 1 to 32, and I try to play it again, and try to play it again, thinking I'm memorizing. And next thing you know, I'm just like, yo, forget this, and I just throw the music off the thing because I'm not sectioning off the music into smaller chunks for me to digest it, to be able to learn it. All right? So, and that's one of the main things of the COPET method. So, first things first. Most people don't understand this. I'm going to get into playing. Most people don't understand that the music that they play, if it's in 4/4 time signature or 2/2 time signature, 2/4, a lot of your ideas are broken up into measures of 4, right? 4 will be like the main idea, the first 4. Then your next 4 bars might be the answer to that idea. If you learn it like that and understand it like that, you have just put into your head 8 measures. The more you do this, eventually you can expand, instead of breaking it up into 4, breaking up into 8 measures, because you understand in those 8 measures, there's 2 ideas. That's one complete sentence. Then the next 8 measures might be another sentence. And then the next measures after that might be a repetition of your first 8 measures, depending on the piece. But usually that's how most pieces are going, right? But in this example, I'm going to break this down into what? That's an intro measure. So 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so listen to the first 8 measures of this. This is a pickup measure, so not a full measure. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 measures. That was one idea. Now, listen to the next 8 measures of how there's an answer to the idea that we just had. What is this? That's the close of the whole entire first 16 measures, right? Now, granted, I've been playing for 24 years, right? So, and I know this piece here and there, right? Especially like this opening section, right? But even if it was a piece that I didn't know, right, and I couldn't read it, because I'm not the best sight reader. I'll keep it 100 with you. Sight reading is tough for me. But I would be able to still understand it in measures of 4, chunks of 4, and understand that this was just one idea going into another idea, a closure of the whole entire 16 measures, right? Now, that's the first step. Once you have, I like to call it mapping. Once you have mapped your score into sections, boom, now the other part is this. Actually, wait, hold on. I gotta go back a step. I gotta go back a step for my Kopet method. The first thing that you should do is, after you hear a piece that you want to play, what does it mean to you? Analyze, how does this make you feel? And what story can you put with this piece so that you can have a deeper connection with it? The reason why it takes a lot of pianists time to learn stuff and they end up plateauing or wanting to quit is because they can't find a way to connect deeply emotionally with what they're playing. When you're able to do that, it makes life so much greater as a pianist, right? Think of another analogy that I have for this is this. Think of everybody here watches Netflix or Amazon, they have their favorite shows, right? When you look at a show, when you see a show that intrigues you, before you press play, you see a sentence that describes the whole entire show, right? And then each episode has a sentence that supports the main idea of the whole entire show, right? You have synopsis, that's what you want to call it. So it's the same thing when it comes to your music. What does this piece mean to you, okay, overall? And then when you map everything, those are your mini episodes in your whole entire series, which is your emotional storytelling, right? So, for example, I remember when I first heard this piece, this was, how long ago was this? This was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it was at a time in my life where, what was going on? I think what's going on? I was in a point in my life, oh yes, okay, I remember. Okay, so actually this was 4 years ago, the first time I heard this piece. So, I'll tell you something personal. It was at a time in my life when my grandmother first went into the nursing home, right? And all the emotions and stuff like that I was dealing with, sadness, all that stuff, right? I stumbled upon this piece, and for whatever reason, it just spoke to me, right? So at that time, this piece right here that I was learning symbolized how I felt with my grandmother going into the nursing home, right? So sadness, deep love, worry, concern, right? And then now when I map this, because I'm gonna play the whole entire same thing again, I'm gonna map it into measures of 8, boom, and then I'm gonna tell you the synopsis of each episode, quote unquote, right? So the synopsis again, to walk you through it, I was going through a lot emotionally to see my grandmother go into a nursing home. The first 8 measures describes, number 1, genuinely how much love I have for my grandmother, right? Worry, concern, but genuinely a deep, profound love for my grandmother. Now that I have that part right there, right? This is where your technique comes in, your touch. The most important thing I tell students that I coach, it's not about how fast you play. It's not even about how loud you play. It's not even about how slow you play. It's how you shape lines that helps you to become one with the piece and also helps anybody that's listening to you play become one with you. Because that's the most important thing as a performer. Most important thing, put aside performer, as a pianist. What is the story that lives in here and here that you're trying to get out to your audience, through, matter of fact, what is the story that you're telling, that you're trying to get out on the piano, as well as what is the story that you're trying to tell to your audience? That's the most important thing. If you have that at the forefront of what you're doing, when it comes to the fine, mundane work, that's fine repetition that you have to do over and over and over again, it doesn't become as tedious. It becomes actually fun because you're comparing this work with something that means to you, right? So the first 8 measures of this piece, it symbolizes everything I was going through, my love for my grandmother when she was going to a nursing home. And that's going to depict how I shape this whole entire section. So listen closely. We have, matter of fact, I'm playing this 2 different ways. We have, start over. I'm playing 2 different ways. And what I want y'all to do is, after I play the 2 different ways, you're going to tell me in the comment section using 1 or 2, which way was better. The first way is 1, the second way is 2. Okay, so here it goes. It's the first way. So that's the first way. The second way is this. So that's the second way. In the comment section, put which way was better. Was it the first way or the second way? Okay, you got one person saying the second way, all right? Which way was better, the first or the second way? You know, as I'm waiting, let me play y'all something. Let's see what we have. So a lot of people are saying second way, second one sounds better. Maybe your tempo was slow and that's why. Okay, so second way, I agree with y'all, was better. So it wasn't so much the tempo, it was my touch on the piano. There are all types of ways to bring out this melody. You can do that. You can go. You can do that. It could be even softer. Right? Other things that go into this when it comes to your touch. What part of the finger are you playing on? If you play on this part of the finger, you get a harsher tone. But if you play on the flatter part of the finger, you get a softer tone. Right? if you play, let's go even to bigger technique. If you're playing, let's say, octaves coming down the piano. There's that. Bam, 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 bam. There's also this, where it's not as loud. Another example. Let's say I had to do, let's say I had to do something like this. There's that type of touch, then there's this type of touch. Different similarities in touch, different similarities of how you shape melodic lines can either make or break you as a pianist, can either make your life easier or more challenging. I'm gonna come back to this in a second. Accent and dynamics. So accent, yes, your accent, all of this attributes to your touch. Your accent and your dynamics as well, how loud or soft you're playing a phrase, goes and attributed to your touch, which is your technique, which also going backwards comes from your emotional storytelling, which comes from your mapping of the piece. All of these different things work hand in hand, right? Before I go into what I'm about to explain, I'm gonna tell y'all, this is the thing that is the difference between, how do you explain it? I have not an analogy. I like this thing where I like to compare the pianist versus the piano player. So the piano player, right? You see how I put them here. They may have all the fine technique and play all the wonderful works. Maybe they could play slow and all that wonderful stuff. But when you really listen to them, nothing comes from here and here. It sounds empty and hollow. It just sounds like notes. But then you have the pianist, he or she have the same brilliant abilities, but they know how to shape. They know how to use their touch to tell a story, right? And I feel like that, and it's not no shot to anybody, because, you know, there's a specific way that many pianists learn how to play piano. I feel like there's a lot of teachers who focus more on the theory, which is very important. Foundation is key, right? Focusing on theory, your scales, all this wonderful technique. They focus on technique, even when it comes to repertoire. Your technique, drilling, staying on tempo and all this other shit. That then the artistry comes after. And then what ends up happening 9 times out of 10 is the students go on stage and they fall on their face, or they play like shit, or whatever the case may be. With my method, we're putting artistry at the forefront to be mixed in with the technique that you're learning. One small example, if I'm teaching a beginner student, whether a kid, whether a young adult, older, whatever the case may be, if they're working on scales, yes, I'm gonna show you how to practice scales, all the drills. Thank you, Andre. Right? Oh, yo, what's good, bro? How you doing, man? It's good. So, like, if I'm teaching a beginner how to play piano, yes, we work on scales, right? But the difference is this, that I'm gonna put artistry into their scales right away. I'm giving them a prompt. For example, imagine a sunrise, sunset. Sunrises don't happen right away, right? So, and sunsets don't happen right away. It's a gradual process, right? And especially for beginner students, they practice in slow anyway. So we start off working on their touch. We start off soft, and then we get louder as we go up the piano. That's your sunrise. Your sunset gets softer and slower. As my students become intermediate and more advanced, we'll start from here. Sunrise, sunset. Going from here to here and backwards. Listen closely. Because now, what this is teaching you is you have to have control over your playing. As you're going up the piano, you're getting louder. But look at the distance that I'm traveling. By the time I get to here, I'm playing even louder to the loudest. And now I'm starting loud keeping the same dynamics. As I'm going down, I'm getting softer, but I still have a long way to go. So I have to have control over my technique, control over my touch, so that I can end here. That's one step. Another step. What about how do you mix speed with this? Let's say now, let's give you another one. You're jumping off a trampoline, jumping up, boom, and coming straight down. So if you had to depict this, doing 4 octaves, so like let's say advanced students, whatever, with speed, and as well as dynamics, starting off soft and all that, it's sort of like this. And then louder. And softer, etc., etc. So all of these different things with my Kopet method, composer-oriented piano expression and technique method, can be implemented into technique for young students, beginner students that are adults, teenagers, all the way to the pinnacle of elderly, right? Somebody said, wow, thank you. There are so many scales and harmony on the piano. How to select those? Is it random, or is there any method to select scales for any storytelling, since you focus on storytelling? Okay, so how to select those? Is it random, or is there any method to select scales for any storytelling? Okay, bet. Now, so I remember you from yesterday. So you're going into, you're going into composition, which is fine for sure. So every scale has a specific emotion tied to it, right? I've been working on something where you have all the scales, all 53 scales that ties a color and an emotion that goes with it. For example, let's say it's the key of B minor. Let's say B minor. Let's say B minor gives you the feeling of hopelessness, and the piece that what you're composing, again, composition, which ties into Kopet method as well. You're telling some type of story, or your own personal story of a time of your life when you felt hopelessness, right? And you decide this is the key that you're going to be in, the key of B minor. If that's what that reminds you of, that's how you determine what key you're going to use to tell your story, or to use what you said. Is there any method? Yes. Any scales for storytelling? Yes. All of these different scales have a color and emotion to it. Colors, right? Some people, they have something called synesthesia, some shit like that, where they see music in colors, reds, greens, orange, blah 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 boom. So this thing that I'm working on, every scale has a color and emotion tied to it. Colors and emotions are tied with one another into music, right? So yeah, it definitely works. Somebody said, wow, thank you. Your sunrise / sunset example was excellent. Good display of dynamics. I will use it. For sure. Definitely. Right? And then, of course, when it comes to actual repertoire, the same concepts. Maybe not in the sense of composition, right? Because now when it comes to actual repertoire, the word in my method, the Kopet method, composer-oriented piano expression and technique method. Composer, I like to use it as, I described the composition part of it as you composing your own emotional story to attribute to what you're playing. And as long as you have that at the forefront when you're working on doing the fine technique, you're good to go. Let's get back into this. Actually, no, I should just demonstrate something else. When it comes to big technique and touch, if I had to do something like this, there's all types of touches, all types of ways that you can shape these melodic lines to make it easier for you as a pianist. Real quick, these octaves are from Franz Liszt Sonata in B minor, which is a really challenging part of the piece, because you're supposed to play it like this. No, hell no. You don't need to play it that fast. Why not use your touch and emotional storytelling to stretch melody, stretch these big ass octaves. So instead of going, why not? Big difference, and it also makes it easier to play. Now, as I continue to play, listen to what I do. When you stretch, life becomes so much easier. What else? What's another piece? That. So many people, or there are many pianists who play like this. Does it really have to be played that fast? No. Why not? La Campanella, yes, La Campanella. If you, I know I keep saying the same thing again and again because I want to drive home the point. Before I go back into Benediction to God in Solitude, I want to drive home the point that in today's classical piano world, the standard, especially if you're a high-level pianist, is you're supposed to be playing up here. Everything has to be breakneck speed, breakneck speed, breakneck speed. There might be some type of leeway when it comes to playing like slowly, slower, right? Maybe, but like when it comes to your more challenging pieces, I'm gonna answer that question. Thank you for that. Who's this? I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'm gonna answer this question in a second. Thank you for your question. But like when it comes to, yes, that standard of everything has to be breakneck speed, everything has to be crisp and pristine. But then it's like, well, how can that be remotely possible if we don't really know what these composers really wanted in their music? Now, some people push back and say, well, we have historical writings of their pupils playing their music. For example, Chopin. There's a lot of his pupils that play this music, or Liszt, boom, or Brahms, whatever. But it's still not the source. It's still not the source. So right now we're just playing Russian roulette and taking educated guesses on how a piece is supposed to be played. With Chopin, right? A lot of people feel like, well, we know that Chopin, and going off of historical writings, that he was an introverted person. He did not like spotlight. That's why he composed the music that he composed, right? Which is true. But then here's the thing. We will never be able to play it exactly like him. We don't know. We don't know exactly how he wanted his music. And I'm gonna give you another example. Sergei Rachmaninoff. He died at 43 years old, I think it was. No, he died at 46 or whatever. He's considered like one of the last modern romantic era, no, not romantic era, like romantic impressionistic era composers, right? We were lucky for him to be alive during the time when they started recording, when pianists started recording themselves playing. He has recorded his etudes, I think. He's recorded his Piano Concerto 1, number 2, number 3, and I think number 4. He's composed, he recorded a lot of his music. You go on YouTube, you can find 1910 recordings, 1920, 1940 something, whatever. But you know what's crazy? We have audio recording, but nobody plays it like him. We can't. We have historical audio recording of one of the greatest pianists and composers that ever lived. But we cannot have his touch because we cannot copycat an original. So that means like, yo, how can I concentrate on playing? Give me some advice. I got you. So that means that it comes down to your own interpretation. And if it comes down to your own interpretation, that means it's subjective, especially with music that's hundreds of years old. And if the music is subjective, then who is anybody to come along and say, yo, your interpretation of the music is trash, right? So that's why, like, my whole entire Couplet method, yes, we focus on technique, but we put the artistry at the forefront so that you can have your own thoughts, be your own person when it comes to the music that you're playing, and not feel this stupid pressure to play like your favorite pianist. That's not possible. Okay, going back to this. Let me answer some questions. You are so good and professional. Thank you so much. How long did it take you to get this good? Oh, to get where I'm at. That's a good question. Okay, so I would say that, like, as a self-taught pianist, it took me 3 months to really understand what I'm doing on the piano, right? But to get to, like, where I'm at now, it took quite a few years. I'm not gonna lie, quite a few years of dedication and all that stuff and whatnot, because I wasn't fully privy on my own method of how I play piano until like maybe 5-6 years ago, right? And then I didn't come up with the name of it until like maybe 2 years ago, right? So my whole entire method that I help pianists, you know, when I help you know, coach them, it expedites their whole entire process. A lot of things that would have taken longer, it becomes shorter because of my whole entire method. So yeah, that's like that right there. Somebody said, but you have added your emotions to a repertoire. You already defied the laws which was written by a composer. Example, the tempo and dynamics. Yes, but you see, that's the thing. We will never know how Bach wanted his music. He died 1750, I think. 1750. We don't know how Mozart really wanted his music to be played. Mozart died 1793 or something like that. We don't know how Beethoven really wanted his music to be played. It's only just writings from other people's accounts. That's not 100% accurate. Beethoven died 1820 something. Liszt, he died 1886. That's over 100 years ago. There's no way that you can be completely accurate with what these pianists play. We're all playing Russian roulette. That's why, for me, the whole entire aspect of competition in piano is just completely a waste of time. Unless you're judging somebody off of, okay, you play a piece, I play the same piece, or we play two different pieces, and if you make more mistakes than me, and vice, whatever the case may be, then we determine it like, okay, yeah, this person needs to work on their technique. That's one thing. But when it comes to what happens when the pianist and this pianist, they have amazing technique, what does it come down to? Oh, it comes down to interpretation. Once again, proving the point of you don't know what these composers wanted. So now it comes down to subjectivity. Subjectivity is not always, and it's not absolute, because everybody has an opinion about what they like or what they dislike. Another analogy, the whole entire concept of Kobe Bryant being better than Michael Jordan or LeBron being better than Jordan. Everybody has their own opinions. There's no definitive answer. You can't have, no. So that's why it's like, I already defied the laws, which was written by composers, example, the tempo and dynamics. Is it okay to add personalized version of a repertoire? Of course. I do it all the time. When I play Liszt, I will take away, like, okay, I don't want to play this. I'm going to add my whole entire thing that I want to do. And of course, that rubs people the wrong way, and I do not care. Because here's the thing, a lot of composers during their time, they would have their music written a certain way, and then when they perform it, they would flip it and do something else, right? So why can't we? Let me give you another example. Somebody that studied with Chopin. There's actual recording who studied with Chopin. They played his Opus 9 No. 1 Nocturne, and when it came to these different runs, he changed it. But yet, if we do it today, Oh, you're not respecting the composer. Shame on you. You're a show off. Fuck all that shit. Forget that. You know what I mean? So, all right, how can I concentrate while playing? Give me some advice. I am new. All right, so the way you concentrate while you're playing, once again, it comes back to my own piano teaching method. What story are you trying to tell through this music? At the forefront. And also understanding that when you have your own interpretation of the music, there are going to be people who don't agree with you. They're going to say you're playing like shit. And it's your job as the pianist to ignore it, unless it's constructive. If it's constructive where it's like, hey, what if you shaped it like this? Or hey, you're hitting a lot of wrong notes because you're not shaping it correctly to make it easier for you. If it's that type of criticism, fine. But if it's destructive where it's like, yo, this sounds like complete utter shit. This is terrible playing. Ignore it. And that's how you stay focused when you're playing. Focus on what you are trying to get from here and here out to your audience, and that is the most important thing. I agree that music is subjective, but when we alter the repertoire, we are disobeying the composer, right? This composer is dead. His opinion doesn't matter. When you feel like you're disrespecting the composer, to me, what that means is that you're worried about what other people will think about you, you putting yourself into music. That's how I always see it. I started really taking social media serious in 2020 during pandemic. And I remember I did Liszt Liebestraum number 3, and the second part after that cadenza, all that shit right there, I decided to put the whole entire second half of that Liebestraum number 3 and make it my own. Arpeggios, all that. A lot of people liked it, and there was those who were saying like, yo, you're disrespecting the composer. And I would tell them, do you know Liszt? Do I know Liszt? No, right? So I'm going to do whatever I want. Of course, within reason. I'm not saying to, wild out, but I'm going to do what I want. And I don't care about what other people think, because this is me, and this is what I want to bring into the music. Somebody said they agree. Yep, Candace says she agrees, and somebody else said I agree to your point. Because when I played Turkish March in my one way, I was brutally judged. In your own way, exactly. Everybody want to swear that they're purists, but can never get the answer from the source. That is wild. That's beyond me. That's a mind blow. Imagine people judging you, but yet they don't have the answers. You don't have the answer, Sway. You don't have the real answer. You'll never be able to get the real answer. So now it comes down to you judging my interpretation of a piece, because I'm not playing it strictly to the score. I'm disrespecting the composer, as if this composer is going to come back from the dead and say, hey, you young man, or hey, you young lady, what are you fucking doing with my piece? Yes, I'm cursing, I know. But I'll be passionate about it, and it's just how it comes out. How dare you change my whole entire thingamajig, my whole entire composition? How dare you add stuff to this composition? Bro, you dead. It don't matter. Respectfully. The way I played today, I will never play the exact same way again. Good. Oh my gosh. That's right. Okay. I got like 10 minutes left, and then I have to go. Okay, let's just jump back into this piece here. I want to play one of my favorite parts. It's very beautiful, very lyrical, and just, amazing. We're in the key of B flat major. you doing? Let me stop there for a second. I kind of want to learn to clear the loom. Go for it. Do it. Don't think about it. Do it. Section it off. Map it off into measures that you can handle and attack it. I've learned from you that play from your heart yesterday. It helped me. I started to see music in a different way. Dope. I love this. I'm going to screenshot that comment because that is what it's all about right there. Hold on. I'm going to screenshot this right now. Yes, indeed. That's what it's all about. I'm glad that I can help you, yo. All right, now, going back to this part right here. I'm about to leave in a second. Hold on. This reminds me of... This reminds me... Let's go. I'm going to start today then. Definitely do it. This reminds me of somebody who is deeply in love with somebody, and they are on the opposite side of the country or in another country, whatever. Let's say somebody's in Paris and another person is in Australia, right? And let's say the woman, she came from Australia to vacation in Paris, right? And she's sitting down enjoying a coffee. And then this man, he's walking around, just enjoying his day. And then he sees her enjoying the coffee, and they lock eyes, and they're like, oh my goodness, right? Then for whatever this woman has to go back to Australia. They exchange contact information, they boom, 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 communicate, and then out of nowhere, they lose contact. And so now what's happening is, now this person here, the man, he's longing for her, she's longing for him. They don't know how they're gonna get back in contact with one another until a strange coincidence, they end up running into each other, and then, they fall in love, right? So that's what I feel when I hear this piece right here. So we have... What if we put lyrics to this? Let's do this again. My love, please return to me. And then to D flat major. I really love you too. Let's say they lost contact right here. Where are you? But then they end up running into each other again. Wrong chord. So forth and so on. Right? The sound went out and came back towards the end of your story. Okay, so, all right, you missed that part. So I was saying, imagine when there's two people. Hey, you played really cute. Wait, taking notes. Thank you. So think of it like this. A person is in Paris, another person is in Australia. Man is in Paris, person in Australia. Really quick recap. Australian woman comes to Paris. She's vacationing. She's drinking a coffee outside. Man walks by. They lock eyes. They knew it was instant love. It was love at first sight. You know, if you know that song, you know it. But anyway, they go on a date. They hit it off really well. They find out that the girl has to go back to Australia. They exchange contact information. They lose contact information. They're longing for one another. And then somehow, some way, I guess the girl comes back to Paris to vacation again, hoping to run into the dude. And they end up running into each other. And they live happily ever after, right? So that's basically what the whole entire gist of the story was, right? And when you have, using this Kopet method, when you have either your own emotional story, your own personal story, or your emotional story that you make up to go to your music, it makes it more fun to play. Candace says I could sing. I can't sing to save my life. But this was mad fun to do. I made up my own lyrics. Number one, I made up my own story, made up my own lyrics to go with that story, and it allowed me to shape this music the way that I felt it needed to be shaped based off of what I felt here and here. And that's basically what the Kopet method is, right? So, I'm about to go. I thank you so much for tuning in, y'all. April 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern, through Zoom, I'm having a free live masterclass called 5 Reasons Why Serious Pianists or Classical Pianists, pianists in general get stuck. 5 reasons why that happens, and what is the specific way that you can break through to help you overcome any struggles that you have as a pianist, and also more importantly, transform your playing, whether you're a pianist, whether you're a composer, all these wonderful things. Okay, so if you want to join, DM me the word masterclass, completely free. I will send you all the information so you can register. I currently have 2 people in. I'm looking to get as many more as possible because I know firsthand from students that I've coached and even my own personal journey as a classical pianist for 24 years and counting, how frustrating it is when you hit that wall and you can't get through. Or you're on your journey and there comes a point where, and even if you're a beginner, definitely if you're a beginner for sure, you need to be in this masterclass. I know what that's like to start at the beginning and you see this hill of all the things that are related to piano and you're like, yo, how am I gonna do this? Join my masterclass. I'm gonna help you figure all that out. So again, if you wanna join, it's April 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern. DM me the word masterclass and I'll send you all the information to register for free. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Love y'all. Enjoy your day.
Ended.